A very good morning. You're watching Breakfast News with me, Smriti Rastogi. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines. PM to begin Germany, Spain, Russia and France visit. Trade and investments high on agenda. NIA summons two Kashmiri separatist leaders to Delhi, probe in case relating to terror funding. "27 people killed and over 2 dozen injured in Bihar hailstorm. Maximum casualties in Champaran." North Korea launches another ballistic missile. It appears to have landed in Japan's economic zone. And world number 1 Angelique Kerber's shock exit from French Open. She loses in round 1. And straight to the top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarks on a 6-day 4-nation visit today. The Prime Minister will be visiting Germany, Spain, Russia and France. Ahead of his visit, the Prime Minister said that the trip is aimed at boosting India's economic engagement with these nations and inviting more investment. In the first leg of his 6-day trip, he will visit Germany, where he will hold talks with Chancellor Angela Merkel under the framework of India-Germany intergovernmental consultations. The Prime Minister will then travel to Spain, the first by an Indian Prime Minister in almost 3 decades. From Spain, the Prime Minister will travel to St. Petersburg in Russia from May 31st to June 2nd for 18th Indian-Russia Annual Summit. Modi and Putin will address the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, where India is the guest country. In the last leg of his tour, he will visit France from June 2nd to 3rd for an official meeting with the newly elected French President Emmanuel Macron. Ahead of the tour, the Prime Minister posted on Facebook that he hopes to chart out future roadmap for cooperation in fields of trade, investment, security, counter-terrorism, science, technology and other fields with these countries. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation on Sunday through his monthly radio show Mann Ki Baat. In his address, he welcomed the analysis being done in various media fora on the performance of his 3-year-old government. He said that constructive criticism strengthens the democracy. The Prime Minister also answered the critics of his radio broadcast, saying he did not think it would be viewed politically. He said, through the show, he has been able to become a member of every household. The Prime Minister also announced that a massive waste management campaign will be launched in 4,000 cities across the country on June 5th, that is the World Environment Day.
मैं उन लोगों को भी धन्यवाद देता हूं जिन्होंने क्रिटिकल और इम्पोर्टेंट फीडबैक दिए हैं। जो त्रुटियां होती हैं, कमियां होती हैं, वो भी जब उजागर होती हैं तो उससे भी सुधार करने का अवसर मिलता है। बात अच्छी हो, कम अच्छी हो, बुरी हो, जो भी हो, उसमें से ही सीखना है और उसी के सहारे आगे बढ़ना है। करीब करीब सभी राज्यों में वर्षा आते ही वृक्षारोपण का एक बहुत बड़ा अभियान चलता है। करोड़ों की तादाद में वृक्ष बोए जाते हैं। स्कूल के बच्चों को भी जोड़ा जाता है। समाज से भी संगठन जुड़ते हैं, एनजीओ जुड़ते हैं, सरकार स्वयं इनिशिएटिव लेती है। हम भी इस बार इस वर्षा ऋतु में वृक्षारोपण के इस काम को बढ़ावा दें, योगदान दें। 21 जून का ये विश्व योग दिवस हर कोने में फैल चुका है, लोगों को जोड़ रहा है। एक तरफ विश्व में बिखराव की अनेक ताकतें अपना विकृत चेहरा दिखा रही है। ऐसे समय में विश्व को भारत की बहुत बड़ी देन है। योग के द्वारा विश्व को एक सूत्र में हम जोड़ चुके हैं।
On to some more national news, Defence Minister Arun Jaitley has said that the Indian Army is in domination along the full stretch of the line of control and the international border in Jammu and Kashmir. He also said that it is fully prepared to deal with any security challenge. He said this while inaugurating an aeronautical test range in Karnataka on Sunday. He took a swipe at Pakistan, saying that the internal situation in Pakistan is such that the country needs to keep alive the tension over the Kashmir issue. He also said that India had made sustained efforts to create an environment for talks.
India is a country which is geographically located in a region that is not free from trouble. We have a neighbor who for almost 7 decades has perpetuated a security threat as far as India is concerned. And therefore our level of defense preparedness is always to be optimal. Their capacity and various other allied facilities which have been created here will go a long way in helping us in many areas of life. And certainly India's security is going to be one of them.
And commenting on the ongoing conflict in Kashmir, Army Chief General Bipin Rawat has said that the Indian Army is facing a dirty war in the state. His statement comes amid the recent incident where an army officer used a human shield to deter the stone pelters. In his interview to PTI, Rawat said that the main objective of awarding Major Leetul Gogoi was to boost the morale of young officers who are operating in a very difficult environment in the militancy-infested state. He emphasized that the armed forces have the right to self-defense. Talking about the complexity of the security challenge in the state, he suggested that it would have been easier for the armed forces if the protesters were firing weapons instead of throwing stones. And curfew-like restrictions have been imposed in Kashmir in the wake of the tense situation there. The killing of Hizbul Mujahideen commander Sabzar Bhatt has triggered fresh unrest in the state. Bhatt was buried on Sunday morning at his native Ratsuna area in Tral, where hundreds of people had gathered. Chairman of both factions of the Hurriyat Conference and JKLF Chief Yasin Malik have called for a march to Tral on Tuesday in protest against the killing. Malik was arrested from his residence in Srinagar on Sunday, while Gilani and Mirwais were under house detention. However, barring a few incidents of stone pelting in Pulwama, Kulgam, Shopian and Sopore, the situation across the valley remained peaceful. Section 144 have been imposed in Budgam and Ganderbal districts. The authorities have suspended mobile internet services in the valley as a precautionary measure.
Jammu Kashmir civils.
The incident has triggered political upheaval, with opposition Congress alleging the centre has failed to tackle the situation. Former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah has called for an immediate imposition of governor's rule in the state. Meanwhile, BJP President Amit Shah has ruled out any dialogue on the Kashmir issue until stone pelting ends. The National Investigation Agency has summoned 2 Kashmiri separatist leaders to its headquarters in Delhi today. This is in connection with the case related to the funding of terror and subversive activities in Jammu and Kashmir. Farooq Ahmed Dar and Javed Ahmed Baba of Tehreek-e-Hurriyat have been asked to appear before the probe team. They had been questioned for 4 consecutive days earlier this month. The questioning comes after the Central Probe Agency, formed in the wake of 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, named Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba chief Hafiz Saeed, hardline Kashmiri separatist leader Syed Ali Shah Gilani and Jammu and Kashmir National Front chairman Naeem Khan in a preliminary inquiry. The case is based on a sting operation aired on a news channel in which Khan was purportedly shown confessing to receiving money from Pakistan-based terror groups through Hawala channels. Dar and Baba have also been named in the preliminary inquiry, which will be questioned for their alleged involvement in raising, collecting and transferring funds for terror funding in Kashmir, as well as fueling unrest and promoting stone pelting in the valley. The Central Board of Secondary Education on Sunday announced the result of Class 12th examinations. Girls outshone boys by a margin of over 9%, even while the overall pass percentage dropped by over 1%. The pass percentage for girls is 87.50, while for boys it is 78%. Noida girl Raksha Gopal emerged nationwide topper in the exam with 99.6%, while the second position was bagged by Chandigarh's Bhumi Sawant, who scored 99.4%. Mannat Luthra and Aditya Jain, also from Chandigarh, jointly bagged the third rank with 99.2% in the commerce section. HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar spoke to the toppers and congratulated them on their performance. This year, over 10,000 students scored 95% or above, while 63,247 students scored more than 90%. The CBSE, however, has also opened a helpline number for counselling of its students post results.
I congratulate all the students who have succeeded in CBSE board exam and as well as other state board exams, because success gives you more strength and a confidence. But at the same time, I also call upon my students who could not succeed. The defeat is not final unless we keep trying. Today, I called for first three number students, Raksha Gopal, Bhumi Samant, Mannat Luthra or Aditya Jain. And I was so happy. They are from diverse branches, arts, commerce, science.
Meanwhile, HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar has denied his ministry was intervening in the ongoing moderation policy row. He said that any change should not be abruptly implemented in the middle of the academic session. Moderation policy refers to a practice in which students get extra marks in subjects regarded unusually difficult or if there have been any difference in the sets of the question papers. In an interview to the PTI, the minister said that the matter is an academic call which the CBSE needs to take. His comments came against the backdrop of an order by the Delhi High Court directing CBSE to continue with the moderation policy, which was scrapped last month after CBSE along with other boards formed a consensus on the issue. Earlier, there were reports that the CBSE is considering to challenge the court's order but was advised against it, while CBSE declared its results for Class 12th examination on Sunday after following the moderation policy. There is no clarity about the fate of the 6 state boards of Rajasthan, Karnataka, Punjab, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Haryana, which announced their results prior to the court order. And with that, we'll slip into a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
St. Thomas Basilica, one of the world's 3 churches that is built over the Tomb of Apostles. St. Thomas was one of the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ who brought Christianity to India. With an underground tomb where the remains of St. Thomas are laid, this magnificent basilica is of Gothic architecture. The stained glass of the church depicts some divine moments of St. Thomas's life. In 2006, this church was conferred with the status of National Shrine.
Welcome back. At least 27 people were killed in separate incidents of lightning strike and wall collapse caused by squall in Bihar on Sunday. As many as 18 persons were killed after lightning struck them across the 8 districts in the state. As per the Disaster Management Department, 5 persons were killed in separate incidents of wall collapse during the storm speed of 50 to 70 kilometers per hour in the West Champaran district. Of the 18 persons killed, 5 persons were killed in East Champaran, 4 in Jamui, 1 in West Champaran, 2 each in Munger, Bhagalpur and Madhyapur, and 1 each in Vaishali and Samastipur districts. And on to some international developments. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's son Hussain Nawaz was interrogated by a Supreme Court appointed joint investigation team. They are probing the assets of his family, which were disclosed in the Panama Papers leak. Hussain was accompanied by his lawyer for the proceedings, but the JIT objected to his presence. Later, he faced the team alone and his questioning went on for about 2 hours. Earlier, Hussain Nawaz had already raised questions about the impartiality of the 2 members whom he termed as biased. In an application to the Supreme Court, he has asked for an appropriate action against those members. The court will hear the petition today and Hussain will appear before the 3-member bench of the Apex Court. Earlier on 22nd of May, the Joint Investigation Team had submitted an initial report before the Supreme Court and was asked to complete its probe in 60 days. The death toll from devastating floods in Sri Lanka has risen to 151. Rescuers pulled out more bodies from mudslides triggered by the country's worst torrential rains since 2003. Nearly 500,000 people have been displaced. Sri Lanka has sought international assistance. India dispatched 3 navies with emergency supplies to help. The adverse weather conditions have caused flooding and landslides in several places, with the worst hit being the southern district of Gal. The Nilawala River faces the possibility of a dam burst, which can put the entire Matara town underwater. Although the heavy rain condition has reduced temporary, showery conditions are likely to enhance again over southwestern part of the island from 29th of May. The Met Department has also said that windy condition is expected to continue over the sea areas. Meanwhile, North Korea today fired a ballistic missile from its east coast. According to South Korea's military, the missile was fired from the region of Wonsan in an easterly direction into the Sea of Japan. As per the US Pacific Command, the short-range missile flew for 6 minutes before landing in the Sea of Japan. Meanwhile, the White House said that President Trump had been briefed on the launch. South Korea's new president, Moon Jae-in, ordered in a meeting of a National Security Council to assess the launch. Japan lodged a protest against the missile launch, which appeared to have landed in Japan's economic zone. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe condemned the launch and vowed action along with the other nation to deter Pyongyang's repeated provocations.
北朝鮮が国際社会の度重なる警告を無視して挑発を続けていることは断じて許すことはできません。北朝鮮に対して厳重に抗議いたしました。
今回の弾道ミサイルの発射は、航空機や船舶の安全確保の観点から、極めて問題のある行為であるとともに、安保理決議等への明白な違反であります。我が国としては、このような北朝鮮による度重なる
Meanwhile, British intelligence agency MI5 is to hold an inquiry into the way it dealt with the warnings from the public that the Manchester suicide bomber Salman Abedi was a potential threat. MI5 was reportedly warned by its US counterpart that Salman Abedi was planning an attack on the UK soil 3 months before his suicide bombing that killed 22 people at Manchester Arena. Abedi was placed on a US terrorist watch list in 2016 after he came to the attention of the intelligence agencies because of his terror links in Libya. The claim puts further pressure on the MI5 to reveal when and how it became aware of Abedi and why he was overlooked. As many as 13 people are currently in custody on the suspicion of terror offences. Meanwhile, British Interior Minister Amber Rudd has said that despite the terror threat being reduced from critical to severe, members of the terror network responsible for the last week's attack could still be at large and that the race to track them down continued at full speed.
We won't shy away from finding out what else we can do to keep people safe. I mean, the budget has already gone up significantly. We're recruiting 1,900 people for MI5. But, you know, we will look at this in a way to learn from it, to make sure that we keep people safe going forward. So if there is a need for more recruitment or more security or more armed vehicles, which we're investing in as well, we will look at doing that.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel has said that Europe can no longer rely on US and UK following the election of President Trump and Brexit. Merkel said that she wanted friendly relations with both the countries as well as Russia, but Europe now had to fight for its own destiny. She also told the European Union to be prepared for a future without the UK once Brexit was complete. The German Chancellor was speaking a day after leaders from the G7 nations clashed at a summit in Sicily. US President Donald Trump on his first visit to Europe as US President refused to say whether he would endorse the Paris Climate Accords. Trump had suggested he would pull off the Paris Agreement, which came into force in November.
Zeiten, in denen wir uns auf andere völlig verlassen konnten, die sind ein Stück vorbei. Das habe ich in den letzten Tagen erlebt. Und deshalb kann ich nur sagen, wir Europäer müssen unser Schicksal wirklich in unsere eigene Hand nehmen. Natürlich in Freundschaft mit den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika, in Freundschaft mit Großbritannien, in guter Nachbarschaft, wo immer das geht, auch mit Russland, auch mit anderen Ländern. Aber wir müssen wissen.
On to sports news, it was India's first warm-up fixture in the lead-up to the Champions Trophy. The defending champions defeated New Zealand by 45 runs on the Duckworth-Lewis method after rain stopped the play. Comeback player Mohammad Shami along with Bhuvneshwar Kumar shared bulk of the spoils to dismiss New Zealand for a meager 189 in 38.4 overs. In reply, India were 129 for 3 in 26 overs when rain stopped play, but they were comfortably ahead of the Kiwis as per the Duckworth-Lewis par score of 84 after 26 overs. Kohli started on a bright note, hitting an unbeaten 52 off 55 balls, while Mahendra Singh Dhoni also played some delightful strokes. Even though it's a practice game, Virat Kohli will gain a lot of confidence from the victory after a string of demoralizing defeats in the recently concluded Indian Premier League. Day one of the French Open 2017, world number 1 Angelique Kerber's nightmare season hit a new low when she was knocked out of the French Open 6-2, 6-2 by 40th ranked Marakova. The German became the first top-seeded woman to lose in the opening round of the French Open. Meanwhile, Petra Kvitova made an emotional and convincing return into competition, showing no ill effects from the stabbing injury to her hand, with a 6-3, 6-2 French Open first-round victory against American Julia Bosserup. Australian Open runner-up Venus Williams had to battle to defeat Wang Qiang 6-4, 7-6 in the first round of the French Open. Rafael Nadal aims to tighten the old guard's Grand Slam grip by winning an unprecedented 10th French Open. With no singles players in the main draw of the French Open, India will be represented in the doubles in the second Grand Slam of the year. Leander Paes, Rohan Bopanna, Sania Mirza and the pair of Divij Saran and Purav Raja will be playing on the clay courts at the Roland Garros. Leander Paes will continue his partnership with American Scott Lipsky. Rohan Bopanna and his partner Pablo Cuevas are pitted against the French pair of Matthias Borog and Pock Henry in the opener. While in the women's doubles, Sania Mirza and Yaroslava of Kazakhstan are up against Daria and Anastasia. And let's get you some more action from the world of sports and Sports Beat. Less than a week before India and Pakistan face off in the octane ICC Champions Trophy clash on June 4th, the respective cricket boards will meet in Dubai today to discuss the Memorandum of Understanding to play 6 bilateral series between 2015 and 2023. Political tensions between the two resulted in the Indian government's refusal to allow the team to play the proposed series in 2015 and looks set to give it a miss in 2017 too. Ruchir Modi, son of former IPL Commissioner Lalit Modi, will be in a direct contest with senior Congress leader CP Joshi for the post of President of Rajasthan Cricket Association, which is to be held today. Elections at the RCA will be held for 5 posts, including that of President, Vice President, Secretary, Joint Secretary and Executive Member. Takuma Sato won the 101st running of the Indian Police 500 on Sunday, becoming the first Japanese driver to triumph in America's iconic race, while Fernando Alonso's Indy Adventure ended in familiar frustration. The 35-year-old Alonso led 27 laps in his much-hyped Indy 500 debut before a blown Honda engine ended his day 20 laps shy of the finish line. It was a disappointing finish to an impressive month of the Spaniard. Francesco Totti bid an emotional farewell to Roma after a remarkable 25-season career with his hometown club, contributing to a 3-2 win over Girona in Series A that secured a spot in the Champions League. Almost 60,000 fans inside the stadium stood up and cheered when 40-year-old Totti walked the stadium. He made his debut as 16-year-old in the 2-0 win against Brescia in 1993 and played under 16 different coaches during his 25 seasons. In all, he made 786 appearances, scoring 307 goals, including 250 in Serie A. And before we wrap up, Swedish satire The Square, a send-up for political correctness and the confused identity of the modern male, beat stiff competition to win the top prize, the Palme d'Or of the Cannes Film Festival on Sunday. BPM, a French movie about AIDS awareness campaign in 1980s, had been a favorite for the award but had to settle for the second place, taking the grand prize of the jury. Nicole Kidman, who starred alongside Colin Farrell in Bellygood and The Killing of the Sacred Deer, was awarded a special prize, collecting the jury's 70th anniversary award. However, Best Actress went to Diane Kruger for a performance in the German film In the Fade. Here are some snapshots from the Cannes Film Festival. You picture this as we take your leave.
We can show them some real Southern hospitality. Carve them a Bernie steak.